Well, we cold up here in the recording studio, so Love went to go and get her sweatshirt. We're going to get started as soon as she gets back, which should only be a minute or two, and then we'll rock right on into it. Oh, there she is right there. She already coming. She running. She running. She running. She ain't really running.
No, I already did the running ahead of time.
Today we want to encourage you.
All right, we got our act together. I'm about to start this now.
A little colder back here than I thought it would be.
Well, if you're watching on the live,
Break out. Do you think it's going to snow?
no, I think it's going to get warmer.
What?
All right.
I do.
And I.
But if you are watching on a live stream, just know that you can turn your radio dial to 100.3 FM. That's 100 as in 100 pennies, as in $1 bill, 100.3 FM. Anytime you're in the Omaha area and hear us there, you can also hear us on GospelMusicOmaha.com.
Right.
Or you can download our Android app. Just type in the words Gospel Music Omaha.
That's right.
All right, I think we got it all together. She's got her sweatshirt. I've got mine
Yes,
on.
I do.
All right, we about to run this show right now.
Yes, I do. Let's go.
Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Lady J.
And your girl, LuvLuv.
And this is the Mind His Business show. Right here on Gospel Music Omaha 100.3 FM, your favorite urban gospel radio station. We've been going live and going strong we're heading into our 10th year of this broadcast.
We better than XM, y'all. Come on now.
Well, and we've been on the air
we play different types of music, not the same music.
Well, yes, if you go on those platforms, it's like they play the same little 20 songs over and over and over again. We go all the way from the 1930s and 40s and 50s all the way up.
Right.
How's your week this week, LuvLuv?
It's going great.
Well, I had to
I've been
bust.
spending time with my kids, like I said, my sons, my daughters. Oh, and by the way, my son, he has a fiance, so already, I'm just having a great time.
You done already claimed her.
Hi, Michelle, because guess what? She's the one who's been doing my hair. See this?
Yeah, you rocking the natural right now.
Aram
You
started
rocking
it. Aram started it, but guess what? She's been
You've
keeping
been
up.
rocking them.
Yeah.
I had to pull out the sweatshirt. It's cold out there. If you're listening at some time in the future and it happens to be spring or summer, just know that I'm jealous of you right now. Just know that. If you're listening in real time, it's cold out here in these parts. I got my sweatshirt on. I got a shirt underneath the sweatshirt. I got long pants on. I got my shoes on. I got my socks on. And I should put this hoodie up over my head. I put the hoodie up over my head, and then it'll make my ears warm too.
Yeah, but when it gets to be winter, you're the one that's hot all the time, and I'm the one that's super cold.
Well, you cold all the time. That don't matter.
No. Really?
You always cold. But that's because you have a warm heart. You see what I did there?
Nice recovery.
That's right. That's right. How's your week going this week, LuvLuv? What's going on? Tell me what's on your mind. What's the Lord been feeding you this week? What kind of food has he been delivering to you? What kind of milk? What kind of meat?
Hold on. What's that?
It's
Okay.
just
All right.
going slow.
Okay. I'm like, poor connection.
I'm letting you take the lead right here while we start. What's the Lord been revealing and manifesting and ministering to you this week?
Well, all I have for you is that I made some sweet potato cornbread.
Y'all, if y'all want some, you can get it for $30 a pan.
I've been making, and it's so buttery.
You can get it for
And
$30
on
a
the top-
pan.
On the top of the sweet potato cornbread, I make sure to melt the butter, and I make sure to melt the honey.
Or you
and
can
I
get
pour it on top.
Or you can get 4 slices for $10.
She's setting the price up, ain't she?
I'm setting the price.
You got to eat it with some greens, or
It's so
maybe you
good.
don't. Maybe you don't want no greens. Maybe you want
It's
to eat
so
it with
good.
some smoked turkey.
Real talk, if you want it, I want you to go to, I want you to Cash App at Gospel Music Omaha, at Gospel Music Omaha. You might have to search for it a little bit, but it's there because the Cash App sometimes it acts a little funny. $30 for a pan, $10 for 4 slices, and you will not be disappointed. cornbread, but sweet potato cornbread. You ain't never had a taste like this before with the honey butter and everything, just like she said.
Yeah.
I had some and I was transported into another realm. It was so good. So if you want some,
Sweet
find
potato.
Gospel Music. I think the first name is Gospel Music and the last name is Omaha.
Don't
Or-
forget to tell them I can do it the natural way with monk fruit sugar. If you can't have a lot of the, we can use that instead of that white sugar. Okay.
I'm serious. Cashapp at Gospel Music Omaha. Just find us on there. And if you can't find us on there, hit us up on the contact on our website, GospelMusicOmaha.com, or you can send a text to 402-819-8941
You really did
and
mean
get that sweet potato cornbread. I'm serious. I'm serious. Thanksgiving is coming up.
Did mean it.
Thanksgiving is coming up, and you're going to want that as part of your spread. I'm telling you now, you will not be disappointed.
Honey butter on top.
She also
so good.
has a fantastic seafood mac and cheese that's got all of the seafoods in it. I'm talking the
But
shrimp. I'm talking about the crab. I'm talking about, and not that fake KRAB meat in it either. I'm talking about the real crab meat. So if you
Yeah.
want that, you got to hit us up for that. Now, that pan right there, that's expensive because of seafood. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. That one's
Now,
going to be...
Jackie really likes to see the food, and the fact of the matter that she actually
Listen, her
ate
sea...
that.
I don't even do seafood, and I ate that seafood. It's so good. And now that's $60 for a pan right there. It's not cheap, and that's on purpose because seafood ain't cheap. And y'all know. But if you want some, she will make you a pan. It's got 4 or 5 different cheeses in it. It's got the shrimp in it. It's got the crab meat in
smoked
it.
Gouda.
It's got all of that.
Oh yeah.
So if
Oh,
you
yeah.
want it,
I don't play.
Cash App at Gospel Music Omaha. $. No, it's $. Gospel Music Omaha.
There
when
you
you're doing
go.
the Cash App,
There
it's
you
got the
look.
$sign
Why'd I
in
go?
front of it.
Look, I looked at you. You should have take the hint when I looked
She
at
does do a couple of other items too. She does what you do, the pound cake.
you. Yeah,
the-
sweet potato pound cake or sweet potato pecan.
And then you do the what's that, the 7-Up cake?
7-Up cakes, yeah,
Yep, the
lemon
7-Up cake.
or yeah.
So if you want
Monk fruit, like I said, those who can't have a lot of the high sugars and stuff like that, you can use monk fruit instead.
and I'm hyping you up because
I don't know why.
it's Thanksgiving.
Oh.
And I'm giving thanks for that sweet potato cornbread because it's good. I'm giving thanks for that seafood mac and cheese because it's good. And you want something different on your plate for Thanksgiving. Everybody does the old dry old turkey that they did up in the oven. You want something different. You want something
No,
unique.
you got to cook the turkey in a bag.
Well, you can do it in a bag. You know, we have an actual turkey fryer. Have you ever seen a...
Have you had
Now,
fried turkey?
I'm not talking about the turkey fryer like you go outside with the propane and everything's exploding. I'm not talking about that. We have an actual turkey fryer, like how you would do your French fries, and you drop them down in the oil and you close the lid and it does this thing and then you pull it up. We have one that actually does turkeys.
Last year I did the rosemary.
Yeah, and
I
so
did the rosemary fried turkey.
if you supply the turkey, we'd be willing to fry it for you, but it would have to be done a day or two ahead of time. So something like that would have to be scheduled. But if you're interested in that, you're going to have to contact us. Again, you can text us at 402-819-8941. 402-819-8941, or just go to the contact page on our website, GospelMusicOmaha.com. Send us a line and say, hey, I'm interested. What can we schedule the Thanksgiving turkey fry? I'm telling you, fried turkey, you've never had anything like it. And she fries it in peanut oil.
Yes,
So
I
it's
did.
not that heavy, gritty, like how they be cooking a catfish and they ain't cleaned out the bottom of the fryer in 57-11 years. No, this is some good stuff.
Nope.
And so now, how much you gonna charge to fry? They got to bring their own turkey, but how much you gonna
This
charge
all-
to drop it down the oil?
This is all you, Jackie. You the money woman. You the money woman for me because I'd have to research.
I'll
something
say, well, it had to be like $40 because we can only do a few, because it takes time for it to properly fry.
No, as long as the turkey is thawed out.
It has to be. You bring us a turkey, and the
Yeah.
turkey is thawed out.
And yes, I do the gizzards. You know, you gotta have
All that.
I'll fry your gizzards for you, all that kind of stuff. You gotta do it the right way though.
All that.
Mhm.
And man, look, I'm telling you, y'all don't want to miss. Once you've had a fried turkey, you're not gonna want to go back to
Nope.
oven baked.
Yeah.
You just won't. It's so much more juicier. It's tender.
Mhm.
It's moist. Even the white meat is moist. You know how sometimes the breast meat come out a little dry. Not this.
Nope, not
It's
at all.
all delicious. So if you're interested in that, reach out. $ Gospel Music Omaha.
Might as well tell them ahead of time. So if they want turkey for the new year,
Well, yeah, we can do it for Thanksgiving. We can do it for Christmas. We can do it for New Year's. So, hit us up. Hit us up. Because her cooking is the best. She better than everybody. I ain't going to lie. She better than everybody.
Thank you,
And I know
Jackie.
y'all want to fight.
Thank you, Jackie.
Y'all want to fight. So come on, fight. But she the best.
Yeah, I do cook with my greens. I do cook 3 to 4 different types of greens. I used to do the chitterlings, and I was being nice. I was being nice. This lady I saw on literally put her chitterlings inside of a washing machine.
A washing machine?
Yeah.
What you gonna put in a washing machine
Yeah.
for? Make all your clothes smell like crap. You are the best. You are the best chitlin cleaner, though.
Oh my goodness.
Hands down.
I could not believe. No, you keep that part. Y'all must be throwing away the skin. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody. You can't eat everybody chitlins because everybody don't clean them. They don't clean
That
them
lady,
that
she
good.
tossed them into the washing machine. What in tarnation? I was like,
What y'all be eating? What y'all gonna be preparing for Thanksgiving? Text it to me. Text it to me here at the radio station 402-819-8941. What you gonna be cooking for Thanksgiving?
guess what I got in there right now, y'all?
What you got in there?
You know I'm not lying.
What?
Fried gizzards.
Yeah, that's true. You do. You do.
I sure do.
You do.
Fried
You,
gizzards.
you like them spongy, springy things. You chewing on them like they chewing gum. But those are tender, though. Those are tender. But oh no, you
Fried
can't do everybody
gizzards.
gizzards either.
What they gonna do? How can you go wrong on chicken gizzards and other? I don't understand. Well, how can you go wrong on some gizzards?
I don't know. I don't know. I leave all that up to you. You the professional.
I don't know how you can go wrong on some fried gizzards. I really don't.
So what y'all cooking? Y'all got plans already?
By the way, what kind of sauce do you use with your fried gizzards? Tell me what kind of sauce.
Ketchup?
No.
What's the matter with ketchup?
Well, you could. That's mild. But what about having yourself some of that, the other red sauce?
What's the other red sauce?
Well, there's actually 2 of
Sweet
them.
and sour?
You,
You talking about cocktail sauce?
yeah.
Like what you put on your seafood?
Yeah.
Yeah, cocktail sauce is the truth right there.
Yeah. That. Had you ever done that before? Try that. Try that and see how it goes.
And for those of you that have not received your EBT for this month and you are a little bit concerned about how you're going to do Thanksgiving, I encourage you already now to make your plans with your family members and come together. Everybody's got a little bit of something in their cabinet.
Actually, if you go to Aldi's is having a sale, and the sale it specifies particularly for anybody who's on food stamps and things of that nature. They will provide you with turkey, all of those things, gravy, all of those good times. And guess how much for? $30. That's all. And it feeds how many?
I don't know. I wasn't at Aldi's.
It feeds, according to them, it feeds 4 to 5 people. Now, some people say it feeds to 8. But either way, that's better than nothing at all for the price. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm using my phone, but I would have showed you the coupon for Aldi's to show you.
Well, I know that God has been working with me this week on celebrating your wins, because it's so difficult sometimes, especially for high achievers and perfectionists and people who are a bit anxious at times. We can really get into this rut of self-criticizing, where we're constantly criticizing ourselves and looking at what we didn't do and what we didn't accomplish and what we haven't done, and we focus on the things that need to be done better. But sometimes it's important to celebrate your wins, no matter how small they are. I was describing it to you yesterday like a football game. If you know about football, most of it's football season right now. So the opposing team will have a kickoff, and then you will receive the ball. Now you're on offense. You have your front line, your 11 people on the field, and the object of the game is to get that ball from the time you receive it, 100 yards in total, down to the finish line on the opposite end of the field. Now, I know that just about everybody, if you're in America, you know how football works. But I'm saying this to kind of set the table for what it is I'm trying to say. We don't get angry at the team if they catch the kickoff and they only make it a few yards, right? We don't get mad and we don't say, well, we ain't supporting the team no more because when they got the ball, they didn't immediately get a touchdown as soon as they got the kickoff. We don't do that. What we do is we get excited because we say, okay, that was a good first play. They made it all the way up to the 24-yard line or whatever it is. And all throughout the rest of their offense, their objective is to move the ball 10 yards. And that's all they're thinking about. I mean, they're thinking about making a goal, obviously. But in order to stay in the game, all they have to do is make it 10 yards at a time. So they don't have to make, it's nice when they get a touchdown right out the gate. And it's exciting when you see those big plays where somebody busts through the line and they make it all the way to the finish line. Those plays are exciting. But the game really happens 10 yards at a time. And sometimes it can be 10 inches at a time. And you get four tries to get that 10 yards. Otherwise, you have to give the ball up to the team. But that doesn't mean to the other team you either, you kick it off or it turns over to the other team. But if you don't get the 10 yards in those 4 plays, it doesn't mean the game is over. As long as there's time on the clock, you're still going to have another opportunity to advance the ball to the goal. Because what happens then is that the ball goes to the opposing team. They play for a while, and you use your defense to do your best to keep them from getting the goal. But eventually, your team is going to get the ball back again. And then it's the same thing. You're trying to move that ball 10 yards at a time to get to the next first down and get to the next first down and get to the next first down. We don't always measure our success. As they say, sometimes progress is measured in inches and not in yards even. As long as you're moving the ball forward, then that counts toward the game. Pardon me. And I started taking stock of, I had been really beating myself up. Remember a couple of weeks ago when I was saying that, oh man, here we are, we're 10 months into the year and I hadn't accomplished a certain thing that I had set out to accomplish for my New Year's resolution and all that. And remember how I was beating myself? I wasn't beating myself up about that, but I was highlighting how if you have a goal and you haven't reached your goal, that you need to get refocused on your goal. Well, after I had that thought, I continued to pray because obviously I wanted God to really help me to get past any barriers or breaks or whatever that were preventing me from accomplishing some of the things I had set out to do. And this time, the Holy Spirit said something a little different. He said, yes, it's important to take a look at those things, but it's also important to celebrate your wins. Celebrate what you have accomplished. And then
That's good.
The things that you have not yet accomplished doesn't mean they're not going to be accomplished, as long as you are still advancing the ball, as long as you are still going for the first down, as long as you are moving the ball closer to the goal line, you're moving in the right direction. And he's not mad that I haven't necessarily scored every goal, so to speak, as long as I'm still playing the game. And just like our own favorite team, some people, they love the Iowa Hawkeyes. Some people love the Kansas City Chiefs. Some people love the Huskers. Some people have their favorite pro team, their other pro teams. And the idea is that we don't throw away the team and get mad and say the team is worthless just because they don't immediately make a touchdown every single time they touch the ball. What we get excited about is that they keep advancing against the opponent and they keep moving the ball toward the finish line. And that's what he showed me this week, is a little bit of a attitude adjustment or a change in perspective to say, take some time and celebrate the wins that you have had. Celebrate the things that you have accomplished. And I began to really meditate on, well, what things have I done? And boy, that list was long. Man, that list was long. And I'm not going to go into details. Some of it's personal, some of it's business related. But the idea is that I'm very close, like just about every one of the goals that I had set for myself is within the 20-yard line, so to speak. The symbolic 20-yard line here. I'm within 20 yards of the goal for just about everything. And I know that once I get that first touchdown and I really figure out how it works, so to speak, how to win against this particular opponent, whatever it is, then I know that I can continue to score more touchdowns, because that's what you do. Football teams, after they play a game, whether they won the game or whether they lost the game, they do something called go and watch the tape. And what they do is they watch the tape to review what worked well in their strategy against their opponents. They study the tape to understand what they could do to improve if they had a misplay or a fumble or they got sacked or whatever. They analyze what needs to happen so they can reduce that in the future, because at the end of the day, they want their plays to work against their opponents. Sometimes they watch the tape of their upcoming opponents so they can strategize what are the weaknesses of the opponent. The point here is that a lot of the goals that I had set for myself, I haven't necessarily reached them, but I can say that I have made a remarkable progress toward every single one of them. And the ball is still advancing. Now, some of them, it has only been inches. Some of them, it has only been 10 yards at a time, just trying to get to the next first down. Just hold on. Just hold the ball on the field and try not to fumble. But most of my goals are within the 20-yard line of the victory. And so for that, I had to rejoice and thank God for what he helped me to see, because sometimes we're so down in the weeds and we're so focused on what hasn't been accomplished that if we don't celebrate our wins, we don't really see how far we've come. We don't really see that, man, I may not have gotten a touchdown, but we moved that ball 80 yards. And going back to the football metaphor, we may not have scored a touchdown, but we've already moved the ball 80 yards in the last 3 minutes. And we had 4 first downs while we were doing it, that sort of thing. And those things are to be appreciated and celebrated. And it can be the same thing in your relationships. Maybe you are in a relationship with a loved one and they have an issue that they are really, it just drives you nuts, or it's really bad, or whatever it is. But you see that they're trying, and they're trying, but they're failing, but they keep trying. And you see a small amount of progress. That doesn't mean that you let up the gas on accountability, but it does mean that it's okay to celebrate that win. Wow, that was amazing. You made it 2 whole days before you smoked a cigarette this time. That's great. You see what I'm saying? And this is not to be confused with making excuses for sin, and it's not to be excused with just being willy-nilly and allowing any old sort of crazy behavior, because we do keep people accountable. We do want to strive for holiness and righteousness as much as possible, and that does require crucifying the flesh with its lusts and passions. It does require fleeing temptation. It requires all of those things. But at some point, it's important to celebrate how far we've come in light of fixing the things that need to be fixed along the way. Does that make sense? What do you think about that, Love?
Absolutely.
What you want to add to that? Is just trying to reconnect. What do you want to add to that, Love?
What is going on when it does that, Jackie?
I don't know. Your internet is slow.
For everybody, everywhere.
Maybe for you. Now I know that you have. I know that. What does that look like in your life?
Well, for me, the successes are different. I just measure it by a yes or a no, and what I mean is there are more things that I say. The more things I say no to, that are bad and bad habits, the more I know the success is that, hey, I didn't do that bad habit. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
I don't know what this means.
Well, while you're trying to fix your
Okay.
technical issues,
I
and
won't worry
there's
about
nothing to. It
But
just says slow connection. It's going to be what it is.
Okay, it's back on. Okay, so just repeat what we said since they missed that part. Everybody.
You were saying you were measuring your success.
I don't measure success like most people do. I just measure it by a yes or a no, and not a maybe. Just be decisive. You know, when you know something is not right, just cut it right then and there. No. Okay? When you know it's something that you know you need to do, and then it's yes. And to me, you know, a lot of people say, well, there's sometimes when you need a maybe. But even if it's a maybe, it's for when. And either that will be a yes or a no. So that's kind of how I measure things. You know, it's either yes or no. You know, will you have sex with me, love? No. you know, that it's just that way. Because I don't want to displease my father. You know, I don't want to displease Yahuwah in my life, because you want, you know, you want whatever it is that you want. The answer is no. And you do have to do that. And I love myself. The Word of God, the Bible talks about how you ought to want to love just like we love and care for ourselves. That's how, if that makes any sense of what I'm saying. Is that making any sense what I'm saying? You know, every day I make sure, you know, that and this is sometimes twice, depending on whether or not my body is detoxing or not. You know, I'm going to take 2 baths, you know. You know, you care for yourself first, and once you care for yourself, it's easier for you to care for others because you know the right way to care for yourself. I'm not going to go out here and drink myself, because that's being an alcoholic. You know, that's what it's being. It's being an alcoholic. I don't want to be an alcoholic. So, there we go. So those are the things that we're talking about.
I think so many things in our life, the small wins matter just as much as the big ones. And sometimes the small wins matter because they help build momentum to get to the bigger wins. Sometimes we have a tendency to say, if we can't do the whole thing, then we do no thing, because we can't do the whole thing all at once. And
That's been me before. I don't have this, I don't have that, so therefore I'm just not going to do it all because I don't have all the ingredients, you know. What is the ingredient that you can do for the budget that you do have?
Exactly. That's exactly where I'm headed with that. Is that sometimes if you're having trouble with a big challenge in your life that you're trying to overcome, it's a good thing to start with a small win, because that small win will then build your confidence. Say perhaps you have a problem with anxiety. You get really, really anxious around people, and you just feel really flustered. It's just a real challenge for you. Maybe it will be a good idea for you to have a small win that looks something like, the next person you see, no matter who they are, if they make eye contact with you, smile and say hi. That's all. Don't talk. Don't have a long conversation. Keep it moving. Just if they make eye contact with you, all you got to do, smile, say hi. And you say, well, that seems like such a small thing. The point is not that it's a small thing. The point is that it's a small win. Because look at that. You smiled, you said hi, you didn't die. Right? You didn't die of anxiety. You were able to smile and say hi, and the whole world didn't come crashing down.
Yeah, that had been me. It seemed like after a while, I didn't really want nobody to talk to me. I didn't really want them to say hi, and I looked the other way, and I pretend I didn't hear them until they go like this. So they come and fuck up.
Because the small wins then give you the confidence to say, well, hey, that wasn't so bad. I smiled, I said hi, they didn't attack me, they didn't embarrass me, they didn't insult me.
Or even if it does, still do it, even if you are like shaken or whatever, or you don't like to talk to people. It seemed like after menopause, I just didn't really want to talk to people that much. I don't know why. I was just like, I just wanted to be a loner, and they come looking for me. Will you do my hair? Will you do this? Nope. Look, nope. But sometimes you just have to come out of yourself to, even if you don't want to, just to be confident enough to even. Do you know it takes confidence to say no?
That's true.
It took confidence for me to say no and not work myself into a stroke like I did back then. I worked myself into a stroke, and to not work after a certain time. That was another thing. Remember when I didn't used to get to bed until 1, 2, and 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and then I get right back up again at 5 or 6 and get back at it again. And you can't continue to have your life doing those things like that, and because that's not caring for yourself. That's not caring for yourself. And I'm so glad that. What time do I get to bed now? Usually about what?
I don't know, what time do you get to bed?
Well, I'm doing a great job if I can stay up till 8:30. I mean, I'm doing really good.
Now you sleeping like a preschooler.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But I get up early now, you know that. Yeah. So if I get up at 3:30 like my dad, who's in the military, then I feel good because I went to bed at 8 o'clock. I could even go to bed at 7:30, but I usually miss a show if I do that. But usually that 8, 8:30, yeah.
So for me, it's important to celebrate those small wins because it gives you the confidence, and I like that you use the word courage. The definition of courage is the confidence to press through though you have fear.
Yeah.
So courage is
That's
present.
Good. Say that again.
The confidence to press forward though you have fear. If we're waiting to not be anxious before we act, or if we're waiting to not be afraid before we act, if we're waiting for our feelings to feel a certain kind of way before we act, in many cases we will never act at all, because our feelings are a very fickle master and they're a very harsh judge. And we're not supposed to be living our lives governed and controlled by our feelings, especially not the feeling of fear. As a matter of fact, the scripture says that perfect love, the love of God, casts out fear. And so fear is the opposite of faith. Fear is the opposite of God's love. And so
fear is F-E-A-R. False evidence appearing real. Right? F-E-A-R. That's fear.
So this is why the small wins become so important, because they give us the courage to move the ball to the next first down. So maybe I can't make that whole touchdown. Maybe I can't go into a full banquet hall with 100 people and socialize and feel comfortable and confident and talk to everybody socially, or maybe I'm not ready to do a full 1 hour speech in front of all of my peers or whatever. Well, get some small wins. How about you try that speech in front of the people who love you the most, maybe 2 or 3 of your best friends, and you say, I need you guys to let me practice my speech on you. Well, that's a small win, because you'll say the words and there'll be a friendly audience and you won't die. And you'll get done with
Though
your
you
speech.
might feel like it.
Well, and you'll fumble and you'll mess it up, but because they love you, they will be supportive and they'll say, it's okay, you got this, you got this. They'll be encouraging. So that's how you move the ball toward the goal, as long as you're moving it forward. And those small wins then give you the courage to face the bigger challenges. So courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means acting despite the fear. And that's very important in our society, where we have so much anxiety and fear and depression and pressure.
Why do you suppose there is so much of that?
Oh, social media, hands down. Social media puts us in a bubble of where you're seeing everybody's best self, comparing it against your worst self, and seeing and feeling like the gap is too large. Everybody on social media, they look perfect, they sound perfect, everything is edited up, everything has filters on it, and there's no possible way for you to measure up to what you see online. And social media has made us more isolated. Although it claimed to make us more connected, it has made us more isolated, because now we don't interact with people in real life.
Come on
So
here.
you don't get all of the nonverbals. You don't get the energy, if I can use that word. I'm not using that word in a new age sense, but I'm saying energy in the form of, you and I are sitting here together, we're playing off of each other right now with this conversation, and I can feel your energy, whether or not you feel happy or whether you are in disagreement with what I'm saying. You can't get that on a camera.
That's right.
You can't get that on a social post. You can only approximate it on seeing someone on video, but it's not the same as seeing someone in person, and you're actually feeling their micro movements and their micro expressions. And that is a real thing, that human beings do have electrical impulses that are all in and around us, and those electrical frequencies do change based upon if you're angry, if you're hateful, if you're happy, if you're joyful, if you're sad or despondent. Your body will emit different types of magnetism, not to mention when you're in the same space with someone, you're actually creating movement in the air itself. That your skin cells, your hair cells on your outer layer of your skin are actually picking up the different air movements that are happening. Have you ever been in a room full of people and all of a sudden it seemed really hot? It's because their bodies are they're emanating heat coming off of their body, and it's literally raising the temperature in the room. But have you ever been in a room with people and it wasn't that many people, but you felt like you could, quote, cut the tension with a knife? It's because everybody's what is coming off of their spirit, whether you want to call it electrical impulses or magnetism or whatever it is, from a scientific perspective, from a spiritual perspective, we pick up on those things. And so you don't get that when you're on social media, because you're missing that whole in-person element. So what we end up with is a whole generation of people that don't know how to socialize. They don't know how to be in the physical presence of each other anymore. We don't have a lot of the same social graces that we used to have. People are excessively and exceedingly cruel online because they hide behind that anonymity. Well,
true.
I'm anonymous, so I can say things that I would never say if you knew that it was really me saying it.
Right.
Or you say things that you would never say to a person face to face, but you feel emboldened to be able to say it online. So all of these things and many more are being contributed to this current sense of anxiety. And then you layer on top of all of that, you take the icing on the cake, and we are discouraged from trusting God, having faith in God, believing in God, following Jesus. we're discouraged from understanding we have a God who loves us, but a God who also will keep us accountable, a God that will lead us and guide us, and that we can trust that he has our best interests at heart. When you subtract him from the equation, you are going to be afraid and anxious and depressed and fearful, because what do you have to look forward to if there's a crisis and you can't lean on God because they took God out of everything? Yeah, life would be terrible and scary if I didn't know that my God was a good God. It says in I should probably look that up, that, and I've quoted this verse many times, what father, if his son asks him for bread, will he give him a stone? Of course not. How much more would your heavenly Father give good gifts to his, as a matter of fact, I'm going to pull that up so I can quote it exactly. Oh, let's see. Let's go to our trusty dandy doody doondy King James, and I'm going to type in my concordance here. Let's look up the keyword stone. I'll probably find it with the word stone. 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 If I could type without messing it up here. All right, I'm scrolling down. Let's see what he had to say about that. Okay, how do I get that thing off of there? There we go. Oh no, that's the stone being rolled away after he resurrected. Amen, amen. Let's see. Bread, he would give him the stone. Oh man, let me Google it. And I probably need to do something with my eyes. Let's see. Bread, give him a stone. Verse. I'm trying to type fast here. Y'all not trying to wait all day for me to find this verse. And I should have this one memorized. That's too bad that I don't. Okay, Matthew chapter 7, verses 9 through 11. Let's hop there real quick. Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. Yeah, we could make a song off of that. Matthew chapter 7, verse 9 and 11. Yeah.
You sound like
All right, starting in verse 7, Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receives, and he that seeks finds, and to him that knocks it shall be opened. Oh, or what man is there of you, whom if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will he give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? If you, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Sometimes we forget that our God is a good God. He's a good Father. He loves his children. He loves you. He loves me. And those things can help to overcome that fear and give us the courage that we need to press toward those goals. If we're not making it all the way to the goal, can we make it through to the next first down? Can we make it that 10 yards to the next first down? Can we move the ball forward even an inch? Because all of that matters and all of that counts. And just to kind of wrap this up, I know we're going a little short today. I'm reminded of the story of David and Goliath. Everybody likes to tell the story of David and Goliath. And for those of you that weren't in Sunday school and didn't read your Bible, there were many nations in the Old Testament. That's the first half of the Bible, if you've never read your Bible. And out of all of those nations, there was a lot of wickedness and evil that was happening. And some of that wickedness and evil was actually happening at a genetic level. They were literally gene splicing and creating hybridized races of humans that had extra special powers. The Hebrew word for it is Nephilim. And you can see where these things really started to take hold in Genesis chapter 6. These Nephilim were part of the reason why that whole Noah's flood happened. You ever heard of Noah's Ark, Noah's flood? It happened because there was so much genetic corruption that had happened that God literally started it over. And he used Noah and his children and their wives to repopulate the earth after this great flood. But it tells us in Genesis that these fallen angels continued to monkey around with human genetics. And so many of the nations of that time were literally nations that had these Nephilim as their leaders, as their warriors, as their mighty men of their camp. And in some cases, the whole entire tribes were hybridized. This was partially the reason why God said, don't mix with the other tribes, don't intermarry with them, all of those sorts of things. It wasn't because God is racist, and it wasn't because God likes killing people. It was because these people were following fallen angels and doing genetic abominations. Okay? So, fast forward, God said that, okay, I'm going to redeem all of humankind from all of this foolishness that they're doing. So I'm going to come down as, I'm going to take on flesh, and I'm going to be the perfect sacrifice for their sins to redeem them from all of this mess and all of this craziness that has been happening on the earth. So he picked a particular group of people. It could have been any group of people, mind you. But he picked a particular group of people, and in the Old Testament, you'll see them. They are the Israelites. They came from a genetic line that was then followed through. You can see the genealogy all the way through to Jesus when he came. So the reason why I'm telling this by preamble is because now let's get to this story of David and Goliath. David was one of the members of the tribes of Israel. And they were surrounded by all of these other nations that had these hybrids, these Nephilim, as their warriors, their leaders, their idols, all of that. And so we pick up the story in 1 Samuel let's jump to chapter 17. And I'm not going to read every single verse because it's not necessary. I'm just going to pick out the highlights because I want to show you. While I'm telling you this story, I want to show you how those little wins that we were talking about earlier, how those little wins can give you the confidence to build up to defeating your enemy or reaching your goal or whatever it is that you are facing. So in 1 Samuel chapter 17, we see one of these nations, and they are called the Philistines. The Philistines had Nephilim within their ranks, and I'm about to show you how we know that. So in chapter 17, and I think I'm going to go ahead and read it from the English Standard Version or the World English Bible, just so that we can get to the meat of the message and not be tripped up by the Old English. So now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and they were gathered together at Socoh, which belongs to Judah, which is one of the tribes of Israel. And they encamped between Socoh and Azekah in this place called Ephes Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel, Saul was the leader at the time of Israel, were gathered together, and they encamped in the valley of Elah and set battle in array against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on the mountain on one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, and there was a valley in between them. Ooh. When you have goals and things that you want to accomplish, it feels like the goal is way on the other mountainside, way over there, and there's this huge valley in between. You're thinking about all the things you're going to have to do. Let's say you want to be a doctor. And, oh, man, do I really want to be a doctor? Man, that means I'm going to need to go to college. I'm going to have to get a loan. I'm going to have to go to undergrad. Then I'm going to have to go to grad. Then I'm going to have to go to med school. And then I'm going to have to do my residency. And you're thinking about all this stuff. And it looks like a big valley that's down there in between you and your goal. Or maybe you say, I want to lose 100 pounds. But, oh, my gosh, how long is that going to take? And man, they say I should lose it slowly. That's 1 to 2 pounds a week. That's going to take a whole year, and that's going to be too hard to change my eating habits, and I'm going to be hungry all the time. And you're looking at this big valley in between. That's kind of what the setup is for this story, is that you have the people of God. They know they're going to have to conquer this enemy. They're all set up, and there seems like there's a big valley in between the victory. So Saul and his men gathered them together, and they were encamped. The Philistines are on one side, and the Israelites on the other. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Now, we don't know what cubits are because we don't use that measurement anymore. But let's go ask AI, what is 6 cubits and a span? 6 cubits and a span is about 9 feet 9 inches. So this man was nearly 10 feet tall. That's not a normal height.
And he's not the tallest either.
Not even our tallest basketball players in the NBA can touch 10 feet.
Nope.
They most certainly are not going to be 9'9". I think the tallest NBA player right now is 7'9", and I suspect that somewhere in his genetic line there might have been some tampering. But I think a lot of those NBA players, may have some genetic things going on in their lineage somewhere. But
the secret is some of them also get
their
bones broke so that they can grow taller. Sorry, I probably shouldn't have told y'all that.
No, it's the truth. All those players, when they get in there, they're not always that tall naturally. They actually literally break their bones in their legs because they do an intentional break, and then they stretch those bones out as they're repairing themselves to make the bones longer, and that's how they get add several inches to their height. Anyway, that's a side note. But okay, so this man was 9'9", or nearly 10 feet tall, and he had a helmet of brass on his head. He was clad with a coat of mail, and the weight of his coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. Let's find out how much was 5,000 shekels of brass. How heavy is 5,000 shekels of brass? Let's find out. 5,000 shekels of brass is about 156 pounds, or for those of you that like kilograms, over 70 kilograms. So his armor was 156 pounds. Like, I'm like 156 pounds, and that's just what he's wearing as armor. That's wild. That's really crazy. So, and then it continues on to describe this superhumanly large man who, by the indication of these things about his height and the other characteristics of the Philippines and the other ones that were there, we know that they had some Nephilim influence in their what was going on with why they had these unnaturally large sizes. So he had the brass shin armor and a javelin of brass between his shoulders. His staff was like a weaver's beam. His spearhead weighed 600 shekels of iron, so it was not light. And his shear bearer went in front of him. He stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, "Why have you come out to set your battle in array? Am I not a Philistine, and you are the servants to Saul? Choose a man for yourselves and let him come down to me. And if he be able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you will be our servants and serve us." The Philistines said, "I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together." Now, mind you, Israel didn't pick this fight. They knew they were going to have to, because remember, the Philistines were encamped in Sokoth, which is one of the Israelite tribes. They were already being overrun by the Philistines, and the Philistines were the ones calling them out for the fight. So Israel was not picking this fight.
I remember when somebody wanted to fight with me.
Look, I may not start a fight, but I will end one.
I tried to walk away, but all you gotta do is just cut off their breath supply. Sit on their nose, sit on their face, then their body begins to feel something different.
Hey, I may not start a fight, but I am willing to end one if I have to. I'll do what I gotta do.
Well, you usually don't have to fight anyway, because you got me.
Okay. So let's move this story along here. So when Saul and all of Israel heard those words of the Philistine, this is 1 Samuel 17. I'm at verse 11 right now. They were dismayed and greatly afraid. It's kind of like some of your goals and my goals, isn't it? You look at it and it's like, that just seems so overwhelming. It just makes me scared even thinking about it. And so it continues on with the story. Now David was the son of the Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. And Jesse had 8 sons. David was one of those. And the man was old in the days of Saul. And the 3 oldest sons of Jesse had gone after Saul to the battle. And it talks about the names of the 3 sons. Now David was the youngest. The 3 oldest sons followed Saul, but David went back and forth from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem.
And David was a small guy.
David was the youngest.
He was small too.
So not only was he not the oldest child or the favorite child or even the military child, because remember it said the 3 oldest were the ones that were going into battle with Saul. Mm-hmm. David was left behind having to scoop sheep poop. Because that's what it says here. David went back and forth from Saul to feed his father Jesse's sheep at Bethlehem. So he would go, he'd be with Saul for a little while, then he'd go back and tend to the sheep at his daddy's house, and then he would go back to Saul, and then he would go back and forth. So he was tending the sheep. He wasn't even a military guy. Like he wasn't in the Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines. He was just
but that's
a guy.
But he protecting the sheep. Do you know that's a big task? Do
So,
you know that, Jackie?
I do. Now, mind you, continuing the story, the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. Have you ever had a problem that just won't quit?
That sounds like taunting. It sounds like...
He did. Have you ever had a problem it seems like it's always tripping you up and you always starting back over at square one, and it just seems like that thing is just constantly just nagging at you. You got this situation and you just having a hard time getting around it, getting out of it, and just constantly in your face all the time.
Yeah, if you don't know that, how about when you get that pain in your body that's constantly painful? That's it's like that.
So this guy, this Philistine, this Nephilim named Goliath, every morning and every night for 40 days straight was like, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do, bro? We outside. Come on, let's do something.
To me, they wanted to get got, in my opinion. They wanted it. Yes, they wanted to get their heads bashed in.
So Jesse said to David, his son, now take for your brothers this grain and these 10 loaves and carry them quickly to the camp and bring these 10 cheeses to the captain of their 1,000 and see how your brothers are doing and bring back news. So basically, go and take them some food and supplies, resources, things like that.
The water boy.
Right.
The water boy.
He's the water boy. And I want you to go and see how they doing and bring me back word, how my son's doing out there in battle. And now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley fighting with the Philistines. So that means they were down in the valley fighting. And maybe that's where you are right now. You come down off the mountain, you got to go after this goal, whether it's a personal goal, a fitness goal, a business goal, a relationship goal, whatever it is. You down there in the trenches now, you're in the valley and you're fighting a battle, but you haven't made it over to the other side of the mountain yet. That's where they are right now. They're down in the valley fighting with the Philistines. David rose up early in the morning, and he left the sheep with the keeper and took him when as Jesse had commanded him, and he came to the place of the wagons as the army which was going out to fight shouted for the battle. Israel and the Philippines put the battle in array, army against army.
Did you say Philippines.
Philistines.
There you go.
Did
Philistines.
I say Philippines?
You sure did. I'm
Like the Philippines.
Yes, you did.
The Philistines. There you go. So some of your goals are not going to just come easy. You're going to have to work, and you're going to have to put some time into it. Some of your problems are not going to go away easily. You're going to have to fight for your victory. It's not just going to go away just because you want it to. So
sometimes it just means endure. Just endure.
So he sees Israel and the Philistines, army against army. They're down there in the valley. David left his baggage in the hand of the keeper of the baggage and ran to the army and came and greeted his brothers. And he talked with them. Behold, there came, and as he was talking with them, here comes this dude again.
Big mouth.
The Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the ranks of the Philistines, and spoke according to the same words, and David heard them. So he's down there with his brothers. Here comes Goliath in his 10-foot tall glory with his 156-pound armor and all the other stuff he had, talking about what y'all gonna do about it. Now David heard this.
And David was like, "Oh, you got a mouth on you, huh?" No, David has a mouth on him too.
Oh, but
David was little Napoleon. I'm telling you, he got a little Napoleon complex. That's what I believe.
All the men of Israel, when they saw the man, they fled from him and were terrified. Because see, they still now notice these are military men. You got to really get the picture here. These were military men. They were fighting. Because it says the armies were down in the valley fighting. But somehow when this Goliath guy comes down and says, who's going to fight me?
Yeah.
They all ran. So that should indicate to you that there was something different about this man, more so than just his size. Because a true military soldier don't care how big you are. They are going to do what they got to do because they're a soldier. So the fact that these soldiers were afraid of this guy tells you there was something different, which is another clue that we have that he was actually a Nephilim.
Come on.
Okay, because otherwise, if we got all of our armies here and you're just one guy, even if we feel like you're bigger than us, we can still overtake you by numbers. You see what I'm saying? Like if it's 10 of us and it's one of you, we should be able to take you down. But they were all afraid of this guy. So there was definitely something different about Goliath. And my thought to you is that, yeah, he was definitely a Nephilim. So they all fled. They were terrified. The men of Israel said, "Have you seen this man who has come up? He has surely come up to defy Israel. It shall be that the man who kills him, the king will enrich him with great riches and will give him his daughter and make his father's house free in Israel." So how did they know that? So all these soldiers, this is crazy to me.
Come on, speak on it.
Now this is called a lack of courage.
Come on, speak
because
on it.
Somehow they knew that if whoever killed this guy Goliath, that they would be rich. So in other words, they're gonna get the money. He will give them his daughter, which means whoever got the daughter would then be married into the royal family. That would instantly secure their status.
Yep.
And make his father's house free in Israel. So that means the whole family would basically become a dynasty in Israel. And all they had to do was kill this guy, but nobody wanted to step up. And they're all soldiers having this conversation. And there's a bounty on the man's head. Yeah, it's definitely...
Yeah.
There was something else going on with Goliath. So David, in verse 26, little old David, remember he's the youngest. His story says that he probably was a teenager. He probably wasn't full of age, and that may have had something to do with why he wasn't out on the battlefield.
Look up how tall he was. Can you put the height and weight of
So history records that he was probably a teenager, because that would explain why he wasn't out on the battlefield along with his older brothers. He might not have been old enough. The Bible doesn't give a height, but he was definitely shorter than Goliath. But that's pretty much all we know. Some people say possibly around 5'5", 5'6" maybe. So he was maybe somewhere between 5 feet and 5'6". So we would almost call that a Kevin Hart height.
Yeah.
Because I think we call that a Kirk Franklin height. Because Kirk Franklin's only 5'3". Let me see let's find out how tall is Kirk Franklin.
Minister Kirk Franklin.
There we go. How tall is Kirk Franklin? I believe he's 5'3". Let's see. Kirk Franklin is. Oh, they lying. Talking about Kirk Franklin is 5'5". This one says 5'4".
Yep.
I took a picture with Kirk Franklin and we were nearly the same height. This one says 5'5". So now imagine, here's Goliath. He's 9'9". He's almost 10 feet tall. Mm-hmm. And here come David. He basically little Kirk Franklin height. He only 5'5". So Goliath is literally twice as tall.
But David had
as
that
David.
But David had that testosterone though. He sure did. That's how you know he wasn't, he wasn't a teenager.
So here's little teenage 5'5", Kevin Hart, Kirk Franklin height, David spoke to the men who stood beside him, saying, "What shall be done to the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?"
Well,
who do you think
God,
he is?
Not the dead God, the living God. Come on here.
The people answered him in this way, saying, "So it shall be done to the man who kills him." So Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men. Now Eliab is one of the three brothers that was one of his older brothers, and he was angry with David and said, "Well, why you down here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness?"
That's messed up.
Like, dude, you first of all, why you even here? And second of all, who'd you leave those few sheep with? I mean, talk about diminishing the man's work.
Messed up.
That's like saying, "Well, why you here? Ain't you supposed to be flipping the fries back there in the McDonald's kitchen?
Go back there and get us something to drink, water boy. Go
Right.
back there and get us something to drink."
That's exactly what it was. I know your pride and the naughtiness of your heart, for you have come down that you might see the battle. So basically, he thought he was just wanting to come down and see the action and watch the drama. And David said, "Well, what have I now done? Is there not a cause?" Well, what? He's like, "What did I do? I was just sent down here to make sure y'all had some bread and cheese and find out if y'all was all right.
Some food and water."
So he turned away from him toward another and spoke like that again. The people answered in the same way. When the words were heard which David spoke, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. So the king heard David basically not being bothered by Goliath's size or anything else. Because remember, he said, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" He's like, "I ain't thinking about this man. Our God is the living God. Why are we worried about this dude?" That's basically what he was saying. Well, Saul heard word of that. So now David said to Saul, "Let no man's hearts fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine." So David was like, "I don't care if I'm just Kirk Franklin's height, and I don't care if everybody else is scared. We serve the living God. I'm not worried about Goliath."
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
So Saul said to David, "You're not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you're but a youth, and he has been a man of war since his youth." So David said to Saul, "Your servant was keeping his father's sheep." Now here's where I wanted to go.
Yes.
About the small wins to gain your confidence. This is why it's important to get the small wins. David said to Saul, "Your servant was keeping his father's sheep, and when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock, I went out after him and struck him and rescued it out of his mouth. When he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and struck him and killed him. Your servant struck both the lion and the bear, the small wins. This uncircumcised Philistine will be just like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God." And David said, "Yahweh, who delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine." So Saul said to David, "Go, and Yahweh be with you."
Oh, yay!
So this is where I was headed with the importance of moving that ball, even if it's just a little bit. Even if you just do the smallest thing, you're just only moving it forward a little. Keep moving it forward. Keep going for the next first down. Eventually, you're going to get to the goal, which is the big thing. That's like the Goliath. The whole entire goal, that's the big thing. Mm-hmm. But those small wins will give you confidence. David had the confidence to take care of Goliath because he had already said, well, first of all, my God is a living God, and he has given me this mandate to serve him. Number two, I'm showing that I can be faithful even when the job is small, even if it is just a couple of my dad's little dirty sheep over there in the corner.
But you know what? In a way, even when he was young, he sounded a little bit cocky, y'all. He sounded a little bit cocky.
The third thing was that he cared about the details.
Oh, yeah.
When it was just one lamb that got taken by a bear or a lion, he was like, some people would say, well, it's just one lamb. I'm just going to, not worry about that one. And, they can always have another lamb, but I'm going to make sure to keep watch over the flock. But he cared about the little details.
Come on.
And so
meticulous.
The other thing is that he fought the bear. He fought the lion. These were the little victories. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw him fight that lion or that bear because he was out tending the sheep. So he was fighting these fights and getting these little wins. No one was giving him the accolades or the credit or even the acknowledgement for it. But he was winning these small battles, and God saw it, and God knew it, and God was giving him confidence. So when it came time for here we got this Goliath situation, David was like, well, I've already killed the lion, and I've already killed the bear, and I'll take this uncircumcised Philistine and take him down too. It doesn't matter because the living God is on my side.
Hey.
And so
the living God, yes.
And so from there, that's my encouragement to you, is that it doesn't matter how small your victory is. Just start. Just move the ball a couple of inches. Just try to go for the first down. Don't try to win the whole game. Just go for the first down.
Yeah.
And then the next one. Then the next one. And then the next one. And eventually you're going to bring Goliath down. Because we all know, if you've been in Sunday school or you read your Bible, you know how the story ends, that he took a slingshot, he had 5 smooth stones, and the reason why he had 5 is because there was 5 of them Nephilim in the camp.
Come on.
And not just only Goliath. But he took 5 of those stones, and he ended up hitting Goliath and killing Goliath and declaring the victory.
But it wasn't the stone that did it.
It was the power of God that did it.
It was the Holy Spirit behind those stones.
So I just want to encourage you that no matter what your goal is, even if you feel like you have made so many mistakes or you failed or even that you're way back to the beginning, it seems like you have to start all the way over. That's okay. As long as there's time on the clock. In other words, as long as you're on this side of the dirt, there's still time, and you can still have God show himself glorious in and through your goals in your life. And yes, we should work on those things that we haven't gotten quite right. And yes, we should work on those things that have been stumbling blocks for us. And yes, we should see how we can make things better. But celebrate your victories along the way and gain some small wins so that you can get the confidence and the courage to face those bigger challenges that are ahead, because we are going to have a lot of challenges and goals and opportunities for God to show himself mighty in our lives. But perfect love casts out fear. Courage is the ability to act despite our fears.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we can do all those things because we know that our God is a loving God. He is a good Father, and he will bless us all along the way if we seek him and we consult him and we follow him with all the things that we're doing. If we allow him to lead and guide our steps and our path, he's going to make the way. And so that's my message.
That's so good, Jackie. That is so good.
So with that, again, just to recap, if you want some sweet potato cornbread, it's $30 for a pan, $10 for 4 slices. Cashapp is $ Gospel Music Omaha. I should have them Cash App you directly and not go through the radio, but right now I'm just saying the radio. Because if you want to give just a general donation to the radio station, you can do that too. Just find Gospel Music Omaha on Cash App.
I'm going to add to that, okay? If you'd like to try the sweet potato cheesecake, let me know something. Okay.
If you want that seafood mac and
Sweet
cheese,
potato cheesecake. I need you to add that too.
I didn't add that. I did the sweet potato cornbread.
Yep.
But
Sweet
if
potato
you want,
cornbread as well.
she also makes seafood mac and cheese, pound cake, 7-Up cake, any of those things that you want. If you want to know what our
Pecan
prices
lime.
are, you can
Yeah.
reach out to us at the radio station. Send us a text to
I won't be afraid. Yeah.
402-819-8941, or you can use the contact form on our website, which is GospelMusicOmaha.com. So
Alrighty.
y'all get ready, because Thanksgiving is coming, and you're definitely going to want that as part of your spread. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. I'm Lady J,
And I'm LuvLuv.
and we'll see you next time.
Ciao.